What's up, fellas? And what's up, sweetheart, to the one hot chick that's watching this. All right, so we're going to go over mechanical offset. It's pretty important that you understand this if you're going to run an AR, even to a degree a pistol as well. But we're going to talk about AR today. Mechanical offset, it is the spatial distance between where your red dot optic and your center line of your barrel is. All right, so that distance is pretty important. And here's why: because you may be aiming in at a zombie or something, and you got a clear dot or biohazard sign or whatever you got for your optic, plastered over that dude's chrome dome, and you go to take the shot from behind cover, and you didn't realize that your barrel was still behind cover. That's one of those things you gotta be aware of when you're running an AR, especially with an optic that's elevated over the barrel. So how do we know this? How do we know how much mechanical offset that we have? Well, we go back to 3rd grade and we measure. Okay, so got my handy dandy ruler, and let's see, where the ones at? Oh, there they are. All right, I got a Mississippi education, so it takes me a second. All right, so what we do is we measure from center line of the barrel to where the red dot is on your optic. So mine on this EOTech is like right there-ish. So sitting at 2.5 inches. All right, 2.5 inches. So that also means that whenever I zero this weapon, whatever my zero is, enter big zero debate here, whatever your zero is, any distance less than your zero, your shot will be under or lower than your point of aim. So your point of impact will be lower than your point of aim. We know because we just measured the mechanical offset on this rifle that it's 2.5 inches, so my shot inside of my zero yardage will not be any lower than 2.5 inches. Well, you can say, EJ, what's the big deal with that? 2.5 inches, that's not a big deal. No, you're right. Center mass on a human-sized target, not a problem at all. It's when you get down to wanting to make a precision shot that it could matter. And so everyone wants to be an AR sniper in their own right, and you're always looking to dial in your equipment to get it as tight as actually absolutely possible, and that includes what you do. So with that in mind, anything inside that zero marker, you would have to aim a little higher in order to get the point of impact to be where you originally wanted it to go. So I want it here, but I actually got to aim up here so I can get my bullet to go here. You like that? It's like finger puppets. Sign language, A, B, C. Oh, you didn't know I knew that, huh? Yeah, so the way that the rifle and the optic are aligned, obviously it's higher, so we got to make sure that we understand 2.5 inches for this rifle and this optic. 2.5 inches is about the highest I'm going to have to hold over until I get to my zero. Obviously, the closer I get to my zero, the less I have to hold over. All right, hold over. That's moving the dot, biohazard sign, or smiley face, whatever you got for your little reticle in there. Hanging that a little higher on the target so that your bullet will come up a little bit. Because if you were to aim at the bullseye, you shoot a little bit lower, obviously just aim a little higher and the bullet, should incrementally get there depending on your range. But you get the concept, right? So hold over. I'm holding over where I want it to hit so the bullet will hit there because my optic is higher than my barrel. So if you're going to run an AR in your home defense plan, it's pretty important that you understand mechanical offset. If you happen to have to come around a corner and you're using, say, a corner that leads into a hallway as some semblance of concealment, I wouldn't necessarily call it cover, but you're behind it and you roll out, your optic is going to roll out and you're going to see down the hallway, but that doesn't necessarily mean that your barrel is out into the hallway. Same goes for coming up over, say, some furniture, coming over behind the backside of a couch, or a bed or something like that. That's why guys like to get up and they hug walls and hug furniture and hug vehicles when they're trying to shoot. And it's more of a physical reference point to where their barrel is. Not always the most sound of tactics, but that's usually what they do it for, is a physical reference point. Knowing your AR and the optic that you're running on it, and like by knowing it, I mean you use it. You don't sit there and fiddle fart with it and start changing stuff out. Like man Legos. Every time a new Instagram post comes out with some new gear you got to have, run that thing like a scalded dog. Know what it can and can't do. You'll become accustomed to the offset, and before too long it should become like second nature. Then when you get to that point and you change something out, you're going to have a little mistake or something's not going to feel right. Like, man, I got to go back to that other thing because that's what I really trust. So I want to make sure that you understand that what you're seeing through the optic may not necessarily be what the barrel is pointing at. Some of the best ways to learn how to account for your mechanical offset is to train. Train using barriers, those facade walls, barrels, something that you can get behind and then have to come out from in order to engage your target. That way it'll let you come completely out, roll to the sides. Maybe you're taking a knee and rolling out, so on and so forth. That'll help you get a feeling for where the barrel truly is relative to what you're seeing through your optic. And then understanding your holdovers, you should be using very distance targets. So targets at different distances that you can engage. And so you can start to see where the point of aim versus the point of impact is for your rifle. And it also, it obviously depends on the length of the barrel, the ammunition you're running, the optic itself, whether it's magnified, unmagnified, its mechanical offset, and so on and so forth. Not even get to all the human issues that could affect it. But looking at distances inside your zero range for your multiple targets, and then distances outside of or past your zero range. So you could start to see that you may have to incorporate a hold under in order to get the impact where your aim is wanting to be. So it's pretty important that you understand mechanical offset. A lot of guys, and the one girl, will overlook it because for the most part on a static range, you don't really have an opportunity to utilize that because you're shooting in a stall. But if you can get out to an outdoor range, especially a class that'll let you move while you're shooting, then you can really start to see what you can and can't do with the rifle. And you may inadvertently overexpose yourself at times, learning how the offset feels when you're shooting. So trying to pay attention, keep your peripheral vision open, watching all the things downrange that are going on, and having to manipulate the rifle should you have a malfunction, all goes into a factor of how difficult utilizing your mechanical offset could be if you're coming out from cover. A lot of guys just forget. It's something they don't use a lot, but the gunfight will demand that you understand and use properly your mechanical offset. So get out there and train and try to get outdoors as much as you can. You know, the weather's starting to break, and you know, the ranges will start being open a lot more, and get in some classes where you can shoot, move, and communicate. I want to thank Axelson Tactical for sponsoring this. Check them out at axelsentactical.com. You can check out legallyconcealed.org. That's my website. Got a bunch of videos on there. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I'm sure somebody will write some cute clips in the comments section, as they always do. Share it and push the subscribe button. All right, as always, guys, stay alert and practice often. See you next time.